That was not what I expected to happen. Ladies, gentlemen, and miniatures of all ages, Grounded 2 has been in early access for a couple of days and is now well underway, and players are making further progress into the game, and today I want to go over a slightly more intermediate set of tips and tricks, as in things that will help out a lot more past just the absolute basics, things that are a little bit more obscure to find, and then I also want to offer a slight hint towards a fun puzzle, as well as point you towards 2 unique named weapons that are extremely strong and you can find in the game right now, with those things being saved for last, of course, so anyone who wants to preserve the exploration for themselves can do so. First up then, let's talk about the Orb Weaver Buggy. It was all over the marketing, so it's not a surprise that you can get Orb Weavers as a buggy at some point in Grounded 2 right now. But in my initial playthrough with Josh, he and I drove ourselves crazy trying to work out where the Orb Weaver eggs could be. It genuinely kept me up at night multiple nights, worried that it would be in some weird obscure place that we just happened to walk by accident and would never find again. And just for the sake of putting your minds at ease so you don't have the same experience I did, I want to tell you that the Orb Weaver Buggy is not something that you can unlock until after you've finished the currently existing story in early access. So there is simply no reason to think about it or worry about it until you've reached that point. Put it out of your mind for now. Once you are at the point of being done the story, though, I've found 2 locations for the Orb Weaver eggs themselves. One of which is at this pine tree over to the far east of the playable area. There's a little tunnel under the roots with an Orb Weaver and a bunch of eggs down here as well. The other place is under the decapitated body of Burgle, so whichever one you prefer really. Second up then, with the sadness that Orb Weavers will be a very late addition, you may be wondering how you can get across those web bridge thingies that are all over the place in Grounded 2 when you're walking on foot. And there are actually 2 ways that are easier than just slowly walking through them. The first is a minor solution, which is Orb Weaver armor. If you have the full Orb Weaver armor set on, you get a set bonus that makes you slow down a little bit less while you're walking through webs. This doesn't make you move normal speed, but it is notably faster. The next solution, which I'm not certain is intended, so this might get changed eventually, but it's really strong right now, is the dual wielding weapon type, Charged Attack. When using the dual wield weapon type, the Charged Attack is a dash forwards. This is the only type of movement that seems to not be slowed by the web bridges. So you can just carry yourself even like the basic pair of mighty claws in your inventory, and then just whip them out when you need to cross a web bridge, and it'll make the experience much quicker, and you don't have to worry about it other than that. Third today, this is a somewhat simpler one, but not every item in the game is a guaranteed drop. This is more obvious with things like bug parts, like a ladybug head will only drop from ladybug sometimes, but this also extends to trinkets, and generally speaking, the RNG dropping trinkets are actually quite good. There's the fluffy dandelion tuft, which acts like a permanent dandelion tuft that you can just keep in your inventory forever, and this just has a random chance to drop instead of a regular dandelion tuft when you cut down a full dandelion. One for combat specifically is the blistering boiler. This is like the upgraded version of the astonishing acid trinket that you can make early on easily, in that it adds an extra pop of damage on the 3rd hit of a chain attack combo, except that this one will also apply sizzle build up to enemies, so you can have a pretty much just free source of sizzle for anything that is weak to spicy. If you get a full combo off at any point, this will reward you with an extra pop of damage, but also the status application, and this is quite a strong effect on this trinket specifically. This one is just a random drop from bombardier beetle enemies, no specific way that I found of increasing the chance, but it is a really solid one if you get lucky enough to get it. Fourth up then, a bit of a cheeky trick that may get patched at some point, or maybe not, which is that you can skip the healing animation on bandages very situationally when an ally is downed, which, to be fair, is an important time to be able to heal easily, as that means that the pressure will be higher in that moment as well than it normally would be. For solo play, this only applies to your buggy, but in multiplayer, it applies to allies as well, of course, whenever you are reviving anything, and it is relatively simple how it works. All you have to do is press the bandage button before you start the revive animation. The heal will still apply in its entirety unless you get hit while it's going on, of course, which is normal, but you'll also be filling the revive bar at the same time. And if you have the revive speed increase mutation, you can actually revive faster than the animation for the bandage would have taken, which then just means that you're able to move much faster, you get the heal, and you can get your ally up. It's just a really simple but useful efficiency tip for the tougher fights in the game in multiplayer. Fifth up today then, when you die in Grounded 2's survival mode, you drop drop your backpack on the floor with all of your resources. You can then go back to your backpack and retrieve everything that you lost, but because this game is not only in early access, but right at the beginning of early access, there are quite a few glitches going on. And a major one with backpacks is that sometimes when you die, the backpack will just break and escape the confines of the existing world. Sometimes they go literally under the ground itself so you can't reach them. Sometimes they are vertically on the correct level but randomly shoot out of the playable area into parts of the map that we just can't get to right now. And of course, if this happens, let's say maybe you just found your first set of snail shell fragments and now they're lost to the ether, you can't get them back, that can be pretty frustrating. But thankfully, the developers built in a failsafe. If you go to the escape menu, then the game repair function, you can click on Retrieve Backpacks. This will send all existing backpacks in your world to the snack bar, right at the exit of the onboarding facility where you start the game. You can go there and then pick them up, nice and easy. I didn't realize it was a thing at the beginning of my playthrough, and when I finally did realize it, I had like a full-on treasure trove of stuff to pick up, and a buttload of spoiled meat as well. But hey, you win some, you lose some, right? 6 up then, every material in the game has a respawn timer. The things that this is most relevant to are things that are more limited, like mints or spicy candies, or even things like parts from rarer insects around the park that you've already killed and you need to wait for them to come back. This respawn timer is directly tied to the in-game day and night cycle, which you can progress faster by sleeping through the night. But the real tip here is that if you sleep anytime after 10 p.m. or 2200 on the clock, you will sleep a maximum of 8 hours. And if you wait until it's too long, then you also will have a minimum time before you can sleep the next day as well, which is just really inefficient for respawning resources. The flip side of this is if you go to bed earlier than that, the earliest that you can go is at 6 p.m. or 1800 right on the dot, you will always sleep until 6 a.m. And you can repeat this each and every day. This means if you time your sleep exactly, you can skip a full 12 hours of every day cycle, as opposed to only 8 at most otherwise if you're late. And while this may not sound like a lot, it can add up quite quickly. 7th, this is just a fun solution for the fresh biomes in the game, the cold areas which apply chill, and there are 2 main ones. The little cooler area on the picnic table and then the tipped over ice cream cart as well is the big proper cold area. While you're in these areas, you accumulate chill buildup until the bar fills, at which point you will freeze. And if you are hit while frozen, you proc a shatter, which makes you take significantly increased damage. Without any cold resistance at all, this is barely manageable on the picnic table. You can get through without getting frozen, and it's not really at all manageable with the ice cream cart itself. So let's talk about chill resistance. There are a number of things you can do to increase chill resistance, and they seem to give you an equal amount of chill resistance each, which is 50% reduction of normal chill buildup per rank of effect. 1 stack of chill resistance puts you to 50%. A second stack puts you to 75%. A third stack puts you to 88%. So on and so forth until you are at 99%, where 1 more stack will put you at full 100% chill resistance. So basically it's just a numbers game of stacking up enough of this buff more than anything else. So you only need to combine a few of these things to reach 100%, which is actually possible. You can just be immune to chill. The main one that you want is the fuzzy armor set. This is unlocked and crafted with milkweed tufts, bee fuzz, lingonberry leather, and then some lower tier stuff too. But those are the main 3 things that you need in decent supply to make this set. And each piece is 1 stack of chill resistance to build towards your actual maximum. There's also a mutation which grants chill resistance, and this is unlocked by eating spicy candy shards. There is a chill resistant smoothie that you can make at the smoothie station, the Blazin' Brew. There's also torches which apply 1 stack of chill resistance while equipped and active, and there's also a cooked meal for chill resistance. But even just the full armor set and the mutation, just those 2 things, makes chill buildup nearly a non-factor. Then if you add on the smoothie and the torch, you'll be at 100% chill resistance straight up, no problem, pretty easily. Next up, we are moving to our puzzle and item locations, so beware of explorational spoilers if you're going to move forward with the video. First up, the briefcase on the picnic table bench. If you have been to the picnic table, you have probably seen this, and you may have realized that the dials on the locks are interactable on both sides, meaning if you know the code, you can open the briefcase. This relates to 2 different 3-digit codes that you can find in places in the park. To start with just a simpler hint if you just want to be pointed in the right direction, the first part of the code is somewhere on top of the picnic table itself. The second part of the code is on top of the big podium that is near the statue. So if you want to find them yourselves, that's how. Skip ahead to the time on screen if you don't want to know the exact answer, but if you just want to know the code itself, as it does seem to be the same in every world save version, it's 137 on the left side and 514 on the right side. The rewards inside are some science, there's some sour candies which you can't use to craft anything of use yet, some spicy candies for spicy shards, and some mints for mint shards too, which is a pretty solid haul. After that, we've got the location of a named unique weapon, the Bushwacker Bow. This is an advanced version of the regular Orb Weaver Bow with a special perk attached to it called Cheap Shot. This makes it do bonus damage against full health enemies. This is meant to synergize with the Ambush mutation that increases damage to unaware enemies, which stacks to get you a crazy strong opening hit, and that is just a really fun, unique combo. The actual location is up in the hedges to the west of the map, north of the snack bar itself. You will eventually be pointed up here for an orc receiver, but you can come up here whenever you want, and specifically, you need to follow up the hedge, and I'll let that path play out on screen for the most part, just to avoid confusion. Once you've reached this spot here, you want to turn and cross the web bridge and follow it through. From here, you have a mostly direct path to follow forward for a bit. If you get lost, just look for web bridges. If there's a web bridge, you definitely want to cross it. That's how this path works. And so the tips that I had earlier for crossing web bridges easily should come in handy. Then on this branch of hedginess up here, you should come across a fully grown Orb Weaver spider. This is the most dangerous thing in this area. You can technically just avoid it as well, especially at night, because it will be sleeping and you can just slip by it, and where it sleeps is right beside an extra pathway, and this is where you want to follow downwards to find this chest sitting on a leaf. Inside of the chest is the Bushwacker Bow. Then finally, we've got one more special named unique weapon, the Gloom Skewer. This is a special larval lance that upgrades to tier 2 compared to the normal one, and also has the Gaping Wound perk. This makes charged attacks reduce stab resistance on enemies. Essentially, it's a weapon that creates its own weaknesses on your foes. It makes it just a really solid general use weapon against pretty much anything if you're into spears, but this one isn't just a weapon either, because this comes with a proper boss in a special location on the map. So this one I'm much less willing to properly spoil, so I'll be much more vague with it. The best entrance to reach this is right here on your map, under the picnic table, under the cloth all the way down. There is an anthill here with some toxic areas inside, so be warned of that. You want to follow the path in here down as much as you physically can. Your goal is always to keep going lower until you eventually find an obvious boss room. In the back of the boss room, directly across from the entrance, is this wall covered in mushrooms. If you have a tier 2 chopping omni tool, you can cut down the mushrooms and reveal the Gloom Skewer laying against the wall to pick it up for yourself. And that just about does it for today then, everyone. A list of tips and tricks as well as a solution to a puzzle that I know a lot of people are wondering about, and the location of 2 powerful unique named weapons that are pretty far off the beaten path. I hope you all enjoyed this then, and hopefully it makes your continued journey through Grounded 2 even more fun. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.